In this video, we're looking at your first round of fundraising to fund the setup of your nonprofit. The entire process consists of 9 steps that we've outlined here. In this video, we're looking at step number 5. We have a separate video on step number 1 and 2, another video on steps 3 and 4. This will cover step number 5, and we'll have a video out on number 6. We will not be doing videos on steps 7, 8, and 9. If you think that's important, leave us a message in the comments and we'll look at doing something in that space. So in the last video, we talked about having that bare bones budget. We've now got a goal and we're going to go and raise capital. So here's the process for startup funding. To develop a funding strategy, identify your audience, then create an outreach plan. Then go ahead and execute and monitor, then see how you did and improve on the things that are weak and build on the things that are strong and repeat the process of executing and monitor. And always, as you're doing this, if anyone makes a donation, thank them. So let's dive into this a little deeper. Raising startup funding is a critical step to ensure that your nonprofit can actually cover the initial cost of registration and have some money left over fundraising to get the business up and running. And at the end of the day, a nonprofit is a business with a special tax status. So generally, I would expect that you, at least in 2025, you would need to raise somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on the state you're in and the registration fees and the legal fees. And it's important as you raise this money to be transparent with all donors that these donations to kick your nonprofit off are not tax deductible until your nonprofit has been formally registered and given the status by the IRS. This level of transparency helps to build a trust relationship between you and the donor and sets a positive foundation for future support. So now that we know we've got to do that, let's talk about the fundraising strategy. We start with a clear strategy that includes active input from your board. Now, if your board doesn't have experience, you may have to reach elsewhere. You need to define your goals, let's say it's $3,000, and then we need to identify potential fundraising channels. What are these channels? Are they individuals? Are they businesses? Is it online? Is it mass marketing? Is it social media? So you need to identify your potential fundraising channels and then outline or detail the specific action steps you'll take to achieve your funding target with each of those channels. Now, let's say you identify a set of channels, say 5 channels. It's not common practice to attack all 5 of them at the same time. What you do is you schedule them and you say, well, do activity 1, and then you do activity 2, and then you monitor progress. So now that we've defined clear funding goals based on the budget of say 3,000, we've identified the fundraising channels. It's time to do outreach. And that's the next step. But before you do outreach, you need to identify who your audience is. In this context, the audience is the group of people that are going to give you money. So once you know who that audience is, you need to understand what is their hotspot, what drives them, what incents them. Common audience for many startups include friends, family, community members, or other business stakeholders. Now, the messages that you craft for each of these groups needs to be unique and resonate with that group to connect with them and to increase engagement. So, who are you asking support from? Your early donors are likely to be friends and family who believe in your mission, community members invested in local change, and potentially business and professional networks that align with your cause. Now, keep in mind, tailor your message to resonate with each group. So make sure you don't have one elevator speech for all of the groups. It needs to be customized. Now that you've got your audience identified, you've got some scripts ready to go, it's time to create an outreach plan. This is where we said we need to schedule it. So build a comprehensive plan that outlines how and when to engage each audience. This may include emails, phone calls, social media outreach, or sometimes in person meetings. Think strategically about the channels you use and how they align with your audience. Now, a strong outreach strategy keeps fundraising efforts organized. So, as you look at email programs, at social media campaigns, at phone calls, and in person meetings, Build a calendar so you know when you're going to initiate each activity and track how many people you reached out to and what the response rates were for each. And then, once you've done all that, plan on how to reach out again as a follow up to maintain engagement, particularly for those who've already donated. Then comes the execution and monitor. So we've got theory, we've got plans, and we've got everything ready to go. It's time to execute. So, to begin your fundraising effort, we recommend you use something like a conversion funnel. And that's an approach to measure the effectiveness of each campaign. So if you have a social media campaign and an email campaign, and your email campaign may be broken down into cold emails and warm emails, you might say, let's look at the email example. If you send 1,000 emails to a warm list, that's people you know in some way, shape, or form, and it gets back 25 contributions, you would say your conversion rate is 40 to 1. And that's the 1,000 emails you sent out divided by the 25 responses you got of the donations. Now, if you were sending out a cold email, you bought a mailing list and you just send it out, you send 1,000 emails out and you get 10 contributions. Well, then the conversion rate is 100 to 1. So that's 1,000 divided by 10. Now, when you go and visit with people, personal, direct contact, such as phone calls or in-person asks, you may have better results, with conversion rates ranging from 10 to 1 to 3 to 1, depending on the size of the ask. If you ask for $3,000, you're likely to get many more no's than if you ask for $25. So, what you can do is build a matrix that says, for this particular audience, let's say we're doing a mail campaign, a warm mail campaign, you might say, that for donations in the $25 range, you might need 20 of them. And then you say if the conversion rate is, say, 10 to 1, you need to reach out to 200 people. And then you reach out to them. And then as the results come back, you adjust that conversion rate. And then you adjust the number of people you need to reach out to. And then when you add up all the pieces from the $25 contributions, the $100 contributions, the $250 contributions, and the $1,000 contribution, you'll know what mix you need to be able to hit your target of 3,000. So as you learn from this, adjust and repeat the process to improve outcomes. Now, fundraising is an ongoing process. So use data from your first round to improve. What worked? Double down on successful strategies. What didn't work? Adapt and refine and try again. Remember to test different approaches. Messaging, timing, and platforms all impact results. So now you've got the development done, you've identified, you've created the outreach plan, you've executed, you've adjusted, and you're continuing to execute, and you're approaching your goal, or you might even have hit your goal. Well, as each donation comes in, be sure to thank your donors. Always express gratitude to those who contribute. A heartfelt thank you helps build a long term relationship and encourages continued support. Every contribution matters. A sincere thank you may seem like a lot of work, but it strengthens your relationship and encourages continued support. Consider handwritten notes for major donors, personalized emails for general contributors. And those emails might say things like, your donation of $20 has helped us move X% closer to launching our nonprofit. And of course, for larger donors, you could always do a video thank you, make a short little video with an emotional connection and send it over. A simple thank you can lead to a lifelong supporter. An affiliate link to a nonprofit founder's startup checklist is below. In the next video, we'll walk through setting up your nonprofit and the key steps to make it official. To summarize, at its core, your nonprofit success is about raising enough funding, not just to get going, although this is great practice, but also to raise money for operations to keep your programs alive and thriving while you manage expenses wisely. In the startup phase, you've got to manage those expenses carefully to make sure your dollars go as far as they can. And that bare bones budget is a key contributor to this process. So, with that in mind, if you found this presentation helpful, we invite you to like, subscribe, and follow us for updates. And of course, please comment below with questions or ideas on other topics. Best wishes as you build your nonprofit and bring your vision to life. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you so much for watching.